All right, y'all. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Franchise Players Podcast. Welcome to you all. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Durrel.
Welcome. We have a really good show ahead of for tonight for you guys. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Let's jump into it, bro. So, playoffs, man. Playoffs, Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. Want to jump into that with you, man. Been some incredible games going on so far, and just some great basketball to watch. These playoffs have been just such a joy to watch so far. So excited to dive into this with you, man. So let's talk about the OKC Thunder and the Wolves. So right now, OKC jumped to a 2-1 lead now. Game 3 just finished. So I just want to get into like a little bit of a series recap so far, game recap as of Game 3. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about that, man. How do you feel about that series?
Man, that's one thing about the playoffs, man. You can never truly predict the outcome of any game.
Yeah,
because anything could happen, right?
Yeah,
So the fact that the Wolves came out guns blazing as they did in Game 3, I never expected that, especially with the beating and pounding that they took in Oklahoma for games 1 and 2. I was not expecting them to come out just putting the beating on those guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So especially Anthony Edwards, 16 points in the notes here. He had 16 points in the first quarter. So he was on a mission.
Mhm.
He was on a mission. That entire Wolves team was on a mission defensively. They had to make some changes, which they did in Game 3.
Absolutely.
And you could see just based on the Bucks plus minus numbers for the Thunder, especially SGA, 14 points, dude. That's a fraction of his yearly average.
Not good enough for the MVP.
Definitely not good enough. And also, he only shot 4 free throws that game, which was extremely interesting. The free throw merchant. He was in. No one was buying.
Yeah.
No one was buying those flops that they say he's always doing to attract and get those whistle. But no, shout out to Minnesota. I do have Minnesota winning in 6. So obviously OKC did what they had to do. Game 1 and 2, which was closing out those games, making sure that they head over to Minnesota up 2-zip, right? And Minnesota did exactly what they had to do when they're home, right? So they had to take one from home. So it's gonna be a beautiful series. You have two of arguably the greatest players of our generations right now going at it, and
Absolutely.
and SGA. We do. So you can never truly predict what's in store for the next game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, super exciting series so far. Like you said, and Edwards, SGA. It's always a joy to watch those two. They've been just electric for the most of the playoffs.
Extremely.
I'm curious if the NBA is kind of starting to crack down a little bit because of the backlash they've been getting about the SGA foul baiting, like you said. I'm curious about that. That brings like a new element to the rest of the Thunder playoff run, because it's kind of like, if he can't foul bait the way that he does, and again, you can't hate SGA for doing so, because he's just taking advantage of the way that the game is officiated.
Exactly.
Right? You can't hate him. You can't hate the player. You got to kind of hate, the officiating, the NBA, the way that, they're allowing or they're enabling him to kind of take advantage of the system, if you will. So that's going to be an interesting installment. Yeah, I feel like it's just wow to see OKC kind of just run through the Wolves with ease those first 2 games, and then Game 3, the Wolves kind of like turning it on, and just as we saw, like they were just throwing a ton of bodies on Shai. They were really just trying to disrupt him, and they were saying, you know what, someone else beat us. You know what I mean? Whether it be Chet, J-Dub, Wiggins, Wallace, Caruso, one of these bench guys, one of these crazy death pieces that we know OKC has, where they're like, you know what, let's see one of you guys like take the reins and try to make something happen. It just goes to show that no matter how good we all look at J-Dub right now, there's levels to it. You know what I mean? Still young, still figuring it out. Amazing. Again, don't get me wrong, amazing young talented player, but it's just like, SGA is just really, despite this game where he struggled, like throughout the entire playoffs, he's been the one to kind of, he's the driving force behind all of OKC's success. And then just like from the T-Wolf side, it's like, okay, the rookie Terrence Brown, or what is it? Terrence
Shannon Jr.
Terrence Shannon Jr. I want
Yeah.
to say Terrence Brown Jr. for some reason. Terrence Shannon Jr. coming across with, I think, 15 points in 13 minutes was just a huge spark off of the bench. Even when you just go down the box score, you just see like everything is just balanced. You see that everyone had like a ton of those depth pieces for the Wolves. They had like 10 or more points. So that's what you need. You need depth in the playoff. And then that also kind of translates into the next series we're going to jump into, which is Pacers Knicks. We'll get into it in just a moment, about depth and just how far it translates in the playoffs and how really important it is. But yeah, just to sum up my thoughts here, I think I thought the Wolves would, they bent so far the first two games, but they didn't break. That third game they came out, they really, they won by 42.
Yeah.
I mean, what a crazy victory. Usually it's OKC, the one that's blowing out the teams, which is kind of crazy. So I can see the Wolves battling back. I'm not upset at your Wolves in 6 take. If I were to give my prediction for who's going to win the series and how many games, I still like the Thunder. Yeah, I just think they just got too many capable players and capable defenders that I feel like,
I agree.
Despite how amazing Ant Edwards has been, he ended with 39 and 6, 16 in the first quarter, like you said. Eventually it might get to him and it might wear down on him.
But you only took 17 shots.
Yeah.
All right, which is solid. So to put in perspective, Shai took 14 shots, ended the game with 14 points.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah,
so
bad game
took,
for Shai.
Yeah, and
bad game for Shai.
Only played 29 minutes last game. And also to that point as well, when it comes to Minnesota, when it comes to the home game, one thing that is a differentiating factor from games 1 and 2 and to game 3 was the supporting cast, right? So everyone was saying games 1 to ending have no help, right? So in games 3, you can see it, man. It was just a collective bargaining effort, like every single player that, that came onto the court contributed something.
Yeah,
even Gobert, this was like his best outing, even though he only finished the game with 7 points. Between games 1 and 2, he had combined 7 or 8 points. And this game, 7 points, 7 rebounds. Defensively, he was a solid anchor. Especially just clogging up that paint there for SGA. So those were all the little things that Minnesota had to do, like all the little fixes and all the pivots that they had to do to just make sure that they come out this game victorious.
Right.
So to your point as well, just in terms of OKC, having all the necessary tools to come up victorious in the series. For me, it's just the youth. So the average age for OKC is 24.1 years.
You mean like the lack of experience, right? Combined with the youth,
the lack of experience. Because
I can see why you think that.
Minnesota, they were here last year, that season. So obviously I think to them getting this win is an tremendous confidence booster for and for the likes of Randall, even Gobert, man. For him, because obviously with him, we as a media always get into his head. I believe we get into his head, and that contributes to his playing style. Because what can he really do offensively, right? So with him, everyone always stating that he has no hands. So I think once he gains that confidence, then he'll be able to catch some of these balls. So there was a lob, I believe it was at the end of the third quarter. It was amazing. It was amazing freaking catch and finish from Gobert. So I believe that it's going to be a very interesting series, man. It could go either way. For me, I just believe Minnesota has that edge over OKC.
Yeah, that experience really matters a lot. I'm always one to harp on the experience factor because I've just seen so much playoff ball, and it always seems like the team that has a combination of depth and good experienced vets, even if necessarily what they provide doesn't show up on the box score, like it really pops out at you like a Edwards, like you dropped last game 39 and 6. It's still just those little things when you watch the game, the intangibles, the taking of charges, the being in the huddle during a timeout and just speaking to the team, getting after young guys who are struggling. You can see they're in their head and really going after them and be like, nah, bro, like this is what we got to do. This is how we have to execute. Those type of things. I do typically lean with it. I just feel like, just to get back to my prediction, I think the Thunder will take it in 7, and I could be wrong, but I like this Thunder team. I just think the depth is crazy. And they do have a couple of vets on their team as well, with Caruso and guys like that. So, guys that have been there. Caruso's an NBA champion. I like the OKC Thunder. And just to your point about Edwards too, Edwards did come out. I think it was post game, game 2, right, where he said, "Oh, I only took like X amount of shots." I can't remember exactly what he said,
I
but
believe he said I only took explicit 14 shots.
Yeah. 14 shots, and he needs to take more.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think Shai took 14 shots this game and had 14 points. So they kind of flip flop performances. You know what I mean? One dominated one game, one didn't do so well the other, and vice versa. So yeah, I got OKC in 7 here. I feel like I might eat my words. Yeah, you're looking at me with a skeptical look on your face. I don't know, man.
Hey, it could go.
OKC.
It could go either way, man. Especially the way the way the series has been going. The way the series has been going so far, you truly cannot state that one team is, going to win versus the other team, because both teams have a bona fide superstar.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So at the end of the day, when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to taking that next step to the finals, you need a bona fide star.
Yeah.
All right. So it's you just have to choose your poison at this point in time. It's either you're rocking with SGA or you're rocking with Ant.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm an Ant guy, SGA guy, so let's see it.
Let's see it. Excited for the rest of the series. So let's jump into Pacers and Knicks.
Ooh, beautiful series, man.
Man, I do when I think about this series, first thing that goes through my head is I just cannot believe, and I'm not a Pacer hater by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just like, I can't believe the Pacers really came out here and are just like, they seem like they kind of punked the league. You know what I mean? Not to say that they were never a good team, that they didn't have, that they're, they don't deserve to be here, because they absolutely do. I mean, they have a very well-balanced team, deep team and all of that. But it's just like, I just did not have them on my bingo card. Yeah. You know what I mean? I did not take them, to make it this far. So kudos to them. They've been dominating so far. Durrel, I want to hear how you feel about this Pacers and Knicks series. Right now, Pacers up 2-0 on the Knicks.
Thing is, it's like...
Took 2 at the Garden, too.
Took 2 at the Garden? Are we underestimating or underappreciating the brilliance of Rick Carlisle?
It's a good point.
He's been such an amazing coach for as long as he's been in the league. And just to put in perspective, he won, was that a 2011 championship with the Mavs against the Heatles. Yeah, the Heatles. And then he had an amazing run with Luka. He also had an amazing run with I believe it was like the 04 Pistons. He was a part of that 04 Pistons squad, and now is the head coach of the Pacers. He's doing exactly that. That offense is so fluid. You and I were watching the Pacers offense like moments ago, and the 5-out offense. You have Miles Turner just chilling out in the in the corner, and the defense, especially the big that's guarding Turner, he has to, if Halliburton is driving, he has to overcome it. Yeah. And that is such a luxury, right? To have a big that can just stretch out the floor, and he just knows how to put his players in the right position for them to succeed. Right. For example, Siakam as well. Like, dude, 39 points in game 2. That was beautiful. He's
been incredible.
So I just believe that he just knows exactly how to build a team, and also put his players in the right position to ensure that they get the best possible look out there. Yeah. When you watch that Pacers offense, it's so fluid. The ball is humming, and always finds the open player. Nembhard, dude, come on, man.
Nembhard's been fantastic.
Nembhard is so like I said it too. He's so cool, calm, and collected. And when you're watching him too, he has a really nice midi game too, to his game, And then you have Naismith, dude. There was 6 straight balls in the third quarter in game 1. Right, so they just have a well-rounded team, and that's I would say is all in part to do with Rick Carlisle, and I believe he just puts his players in the best position. And I believe he's out coaching right now. He's out coaching
Thibs.
100%.
I think Thibs has less to work with though. You know what I mean? Like, just again, like going into like the depth argument, it's like, man, like even when you just look at the box score, you see. I think they play like 7-8 guys, and really like 7 like for the majority of the game. But then you look at the Pacers; they're like 10-11 deep. Exactly. And you're right, like what you said, you nailed it, because from a guy like Nembhard, who's kind of that perfect starting 2. You know what I mean? Like he just does what he's supposed to do. 100%. From a guy like TJ McConnell, who's always like an underrated guy.
He's never mentioned.
You know what I mean? He's he's a fantastic facilitator, high basketball IQ type of player where he just knows how to get to his spots. And it seems like he's so efficient. Every shot that he takes, it seems like it goes in just because he's that smart. He knows exactly when to dish out. You know, he knows that's his role. And you have a bunch of guys on the Pacers who know their role. And then again, they get the breaks that they need. When you look at the Knicks team, like I personally like if we're talking about starting lineup, you know, I like the Knicks starting lineup better.
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%. But then
100%.
when you look at the whole picture, it's like, okay, you can see why the Pacers thus far distributing their minutes across a few more guys, giving their guys crucial breaks. And again, they have a very experienced coach in Rick Carlisle. Not saying Tom Thibodeau isn't, but it's just like you got more to work with. You know what I mean? You got more to work with, and it's going to be tough. I mean, to come back, you lost 2 at home. Like, this was your chance. You at least got to, like, you lose game 1, okay, it happens. I mean, you got to at least split the series. That doesn't happen. So you're kind of in a position where, like, okay, you're, you know, struggling at this point in time. You haven't done what you're supposed to in terms of taking that split. And now you have to know that you're going to play damn near every minute. Like, the starters play damn near every minute.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Outside of, like, McBride off of the bench, maybe they'll throw in, like, a campaign and, you know what I mean? Got, like, some guys like that that'll get, like, just the minimal minutes here and there. It's like, you got to now come back. You're not at home. And you know that you're going to be playing a ton of minutes. It's just tough. It's just tough. Like the balance isn't there, you know. And those things like are crucial. Like in late moments of NBA games where you need to be making these shots. You know what I mean? It's going to be tougher if you've been playing all game and then you're defending. You know what I mean? And New York has a ton of two-way talents. Yeah. So it's like you're not just going out there like on the offensive side of the ball and trying to do your thing, but you got to defend too. And you're there damn near every minute of the game. It's going to be it's going to be an uphill battle. I had the Knicks winning when we first kind of jumped into like I think everyone recap. Did. But man, it doesn't look good. Yeah. Doesn't look good. And man, if Pascal can come through and drop like, man, if he can go for 40, man, I mean this team is really and that's with Halliburton having like a subpar game. Like he had 14 and 11. And, you know, those are nice numbers, you know, but he didn't score as much. You know what I mean? Ben Mathurin had a goose egg off of the bench. So man, Pascal really carried them that game, and he really put them in a crazy good position to make the NBA Finals. And I can't believe that the Pacers might make the NBA Finals. Beautiful. A testament to Rick Carlisle and all they've done so far. It's not over yet, but yeah.
100%, man. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing, man, especially for a small market team. The Pacers were here in this exact same position last year in the Eastern Conference Finals against the current reigning NBA champs. But yeah, so now and they stated that this Indiana Pacers squad was their toughest competition throughout the entire playoffs. You know, even in the finals against the Mavs, they said that Pacers squad was the hardest competition that they faced. So throughout the entire run, so that this Pacers team, like once again, even last year, I believe it was the year before, they had an all-time offense in terms of in terms of efficiency. Right, so they can score with the best of them, and then to that point as well, you have a guy like Miles Turner, who provides them that solid interior presence. Yeah, right, and also Siakam. Siakam ain't no slouch defensively.
No, he's not.
Right, so they have
he can hold his own.
They have a really, really good defensive squad. So one of the biggest faults in the Pacers offense, so Pacers within the last couple of years, was their defense. Right, so they'll score 140. However, the opposing team will also score 140. So it's all right, cool. Yeah. So something's got to give, and that trade for Siakam just solidified everything that Rick Carlisle was, you know, solidified his vision, for that Pacers squad, and I believe that the series is done in 5. Man, I give Knicks 1 game, but
wow,
dude,
5 is crazy, bro.
Dude. Cat was benched in the 4th quarter. His plus minus was a negative freaking 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is tough. Your second best player.
It looks tough.
Cat played 28 minutes in a crucial game 2. Cat should have played all 12 minutes in the 4th quarter. Cat should not have been benched in the 4th quarter. Right. So, however, he was getting burned by, you know, Miles Turner. He was getting burned by, you know, Siakam. You know, so whenever you switch a guard onto whenever you switch a guard onto a cat, dude, he can't hang, man. He cannot hang, bro. So that was also the issue that he was facing in Minnesota. He was getting benched in the fourth quarter, crunched out. Amazing offensive talent. However, defensively, he's not there because what's his name? Robinson. Was it Mitchell Robinson? He was getting some of Cat's minutes in the fourth quarter, and my guy has like zero offensive bone in his body. You know, so it's
and it was a relatively close game the whole game.
Relatively close game, and I believe if Cat can hold his own defensively, that this Knicks team would be, bro, just dangerous.
Dangerous for sure. And again, that's
already dangerous.
Yeah, but that's where the depth comes in. Like you need like a guy who can come in and give good minutes at the center and just play D. You know what I mean? You need guys like that. Like you need guys like that, like to complete the full picture of building like a championship NBA team. And it's just like the Knicks are fantastic. I just don't know like if they have enough. And it's crazy to say. I had the Knicks winning the series, but it's you can kind of see them getting a bit exploited right now. And it's crazy also the fact that the Pacers were in a great position last season too in the playoffs. They had a deep playoff run, but still nobody, at least I know you and I, and, you know, speaking to some people in the space and whatnot, like, you know, they didn't have the Pacers doing too much either. We kind of looked at that as like, oh, a little fluke season. But they've really turned themselves into like a very underrated, well, I guess now they're not underrated, but they were like a very underrated team that just had all the pieces, and we never really viewed them as true contenders. Yeah, which again was like a fault of mine, but no, they're really showing what they can do, and they have everything, dude. Like, they have everything.
Exactly. So so to my point earlier, just in terms of the personnel, you have an all-star point guard in Haliburton. You have an all-star small forward or power forward in Siakam. You have a stretch big in Miles Turner who can also guard the paint. And then you just have the supporting cast, the guys that, you know, they do everything. You know, you have a Nembhard, you have a Naismith, you also have a white boy McConnell, amazing facilitator. Once again,
Mathurin, who can put up points in a hurry.
Mathurin, yes. And
not last game though.
And also with McConnell, man, dude, my guy just knows how to find his spots.
Yeah,
you know. So and
valuable piece to have.
Extremely valuable piece. Like he every single play that he makes is very crucial. There's like no wasted motion.
Yeah.
There's no wasted motion in the court.
100% agree.
You know, when you see him, he's like, all right, how is he gonna get a bucket? Next thing you know, he's laid it in, or he's hitting that midi. You know, so that team is extremely well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to see.
Shout out to Ricardo, man.
Seriously, I'm excited to see how the Knicks respond.
Really. Question to you, man.
Yeah.
So you know how Anthony Davis, he does want to play the center position. So do you believe the Knicks should start Karl Anthony Towns at power forward?
Okay.
And then start Mitchell Robinson at center. And then get Josh Hart to come off the bench. Because right now who the hell do they have coming off the bench? They have Miles McBride, Cameron Payne, Shamet. That's it.
Yeah. And like, I don't even know if Shamet even plays. Is he even getting minutes like that?
Exactly.
Not really.
No. So I think, put Karl at power forward, Mitchell Robinson, and then, you know, obviously give Precious to chew some minutes for what's his name, Robinson, while, you know, give him some break.
They've got to try something. At this point,
man.
They have to try something because you're on the ropes. You're going into Indiana again. You didn't protect home court at all. You didn't even get one game. You're going into Indiana now, and so far this hasn't worked. They've been close games, so I think they're closer than a lot of people realize, and probably closer than we even anticipate ourselves. But you got to try something. I mean, if you were to tell me that some of these guys wouldn't be getting minutes come playoff times, I wouldn't know if that were to be true. You know what I mean? Like a Precious Achiuwa, like a Shamet, guys that like have been respectable like NBA players now, and I think Sham's kind of somewhat of a vet now in that role. Like he can come through and give you good buckets when you need it. Precious Achiuwa has always been a decent defender, can rip down rebounds, can do his thing. And that was obviously the problem. Is the reason why Cat got benched is because, like you said, like he was getting cooked. Like he couldn't hold his own defensively, and we know Thibodeau is a defensive minded coach. We know he's gonna bench guys no matter how good you are offensively. It's like if you're scoring like you said about the Pacers earlier, it's like if you're scoring, X amount of points, but you're giving up the same amount, it's like, what's the point? What's the point? You know what I mean? You're just trading buckets. Like that doesn't really work out, especially in the playoffs where every possession is so crucial.
Matters, man.
Yeah. So it's difficult, but they got to shake it up. They got to try something. They have to. I mean, Josh Hart has been playing well this series, like 6 points last game, not good. And typically he's been so good. Like he's been a revelation for them. And Brunson, man, you can't rely on my boy Brunson to drop 36 every game. Like I give him a breather, like every 2-3 games maybe, but not every single game. Man, it's tough. It's tough for the Pacers, man. Uphill battle for sure.
Like I said, we've had this conversation millions of times, man. When it comes to a small guard leading a team to the promised land, it's going to be extremely difficult. Yeah. So prime example, that shot with 9.6 seconds remaining at the end of the game that Brunson took, that was a terrible shot.
Ill-advised shot. Dude, but that has nothing to do with his size, though.
Had nothing to do with his size. However, like, it's just time, possession, and decision making. Like, come on, that right there, just that shot really was just so ill-advised. As well as he is so ball dominant, and I think he kind of, from my end, I just believe that he kind of just takes possessions away from the other guys. He needs to get the other guys going first. He needs to get the likes of like Michael Bridges going. He needs to get OG going because he'll always get his shots, right? So like for example, like Halliburton, dude, my guy only had 14 shots. However, in the fourth quarter, he hit all the shots that really mattered. So big trade ball over Bronson to put him up by I believe like 7 points or something like that. And I believe it was early in the fourth quarter, a little step back shot. Bang over, I believe it was Bronson as well. But I believe he should give him 11 assists. Right? As a point guard, of course, he's a scoring point guard. However, get your teammates going too. Then they will be so much impactful defensively. Like even Karl Anthony Towns, man, give him the ball a little bit more. Let him fill out the offense because I feel like some of Cat's possessions just come off scrambles. Like off offensive rebound, he gets it and then he forces. Dude, there was a play he just ran like 5 guys over.
It's a tough matchup for him. Like to go up against Miles Turner on every given night is difficult. You know what I mean? Even if you are Karl Anthony Towns, one of the most offensively gifted centers in the NBA, it's difficult.
NBA history, man.
Yeah, in NBA history. So, it's oh man, I hear what you're saying. I just feel like if Brunson had some more like wing shooters who could defend, then I would kind of agree with what you're saying because
how much more does he need?
No, but like the starting line, right? But that's the starting lineup. Yeah. Like with those guys, eventually they got to be subbed out. Like you got to give those guys a rest if you want them to be the most potent that they can possibly be on the court. You know what I mean? They got to get the rest. Yeah. At the end of the day, and it's not just like it's just been the playoffs. He's been running them into the ground. It's been the whole season. Yeah. And we know how Tibbs is, right? Yeah. He just plays the guys like that. So if you have a couple more wing shooters who could defend and maybe like one more big that you could just plug in there that was like competent offensively, don't need that much, but defense could hold his own, I think that would just make all the difference because Brunson, I know he's a score first type of PG, but bro, he really like he can facilitate. He's very smart. He knows how to find guys. And I just feel like when you see guys are struggling, like a Josh Hart, and you see Cat struggling, and he's laboring, and Miles Turner is a tough matchup. Like in Brunson's mind, he's probably like he has to put on that, like you said, that kind of hero ball, ISO ball type of end of game, end of quarter situations, and really try to turn up what he does and try to hit every shot. It's difficult. They've been close games so far. I'm not all the way out on the Knicks. I know there's been a lot of negativity about the Knicks. But it's just it's tough. Like you lose both at home. It's just you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You got to win one. You got to take one. You know what I mean? And shout out to Halliburton too. We didn't even shed any light on him, but he's been nails. Like just for the majority of
Halliburton, baby.
Man, these playoffs, he's been so good.
Well,
even when he's not contributing offensively, he's finding guys. And like the Pacers just have so many guys. Like Neesmith could score. Ben Mathurin, Siakam, who you mentioned. Nembhard has been Nemhard is a very clutch player.
So clutch.
Oh my God!
So
in
clutch,
these
man. Yeah,
situations, he does his thing. He'll get the ball to go
He's
down,
so efficient
or
too,
make
man.
the right move. I love what he's brought to that team. They just have more guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I said, they can afford for a Ben Mathurin to have 0 points. You can't, like with the Knicks, with
That's
these
crazy.
guys that come off the bench, bro. You can't afford for McBride to struggle.
McBride can't come out here and give you 0.
He can't come here and give you less than 10.
10. Easily.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He can't. Otherwise, you're in trouble if you're the
Mhm.
Knicks, because you don't have anybody else to go to. Really, you don't have anybody else to go to. So it's difficult, man.
Dude, to put in perspective, only 4 players in that Pacers roster did not touch or get any minutes
Yeah.
in game 2.
Of a 15-man roster, right?
That's
11.
crazy.
11 who played.
Wow.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Any closing thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. It's going to be a very interesting series. I'm interested to see exactly what the Knicks do today, how they show out, because this is a pivotal game 3. If they go down 3-0, that's it.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
it. They cannot go back home. So they cannot go down 3-0.
Yeah, and the morale will be so poor if you're down 3-0.
100%.
That's gonna be
And
tough.
just imagine they pretty much like they sold their future for this roster. You know, for the Bridges trade, I believe it was a couple first round picks that they
For sure.
that they
are close though.
They're really close.
If you plug in, like, this isn't like a Phoenix situation. They're just they're cooked. With the Knicks, if you plug in a few guys, this can really work even better than it has.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they're already at the cap, the salary cap.
You got to get creative.
Exactly, but how can they really get creative? Because they need to get some guys off the bench. They need to get some just some depth. How are they going to get that depth? It is in terms of that means if they want to get some depth, either they need to package the likes of either a Bridges or an OG to get some depth.
And you can't do that. Like I said, you got to get creative somehow, some way. You got to.
Or if you can get some guys for the veteran minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, vet minimum. Package some guys.
Something.
I don't know if it equals the success of if it equals more success for this Knicks team. I mean,
why not?
Would you entertain packaging like a OG or a Mikal?
It depends on the package, man.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, I'm getting let's say the Raptors are trading. Let's see here.
Or if the Knicks, do you think the Knicks, like, what is their window? Like, because I think they have.
They have like a 2-3 year window. Because right now, especially with Jason Tatum's health, like Boston Celtics, they're not going to be the same for the next 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Yeah, Jason Tatum's going to be out arguably all next year.
True.
And then the next season, it's him like pretty much making his way back into game shape.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the Knicks, unless the Raptors get Giannis.
really, the Knicks. Not only the Knicks, but a ton of these Eastern Conference teams that are right on the fringe of getting to where they want to be. They got to take advantage right now.
100%.
Right now, because I don't believe that there's Celtics, bowing out early to the Knicks was like, I think they're going to learn from that experience. And like, if they have Tatum back healthy and the same pieces that they have, playing as they have been, as we see they can, and the emergence of Peyton Pritchard and all of those third string guys that are somehow all really second string guys, just the depth is insane. I think they can still like be right there.
They could be right there. However,
it's
Jaylen Brown is
too many J's on that team. Man.
Jaylen Brown is with him. He needs Tatum for him to truly flourish. However, I'm excited to see what he's like next season without Jason Tatum. For him to prove me wrong. Yeah. For me, I believe that he's not that guy to lead a team to the promised land. He definitely needs a Jason Tatum to ease off the stress. Like of course.
When
you think about Brown's game, he's obviously has an amazing shot. However, his left hand is a little bit shot. He doesn't have a strong left. He's not the greatest shooter, So
he's not the greatest shooter from range. He's good defensively.
Defensively, yes.
He's a very smart player as well. Yeah, he's good. If the stuff, well, I think they obviously will, but if and when they stay afloat for this entire season, and then Tatum comes back, say he's trying to ramp himself up maybe before the playoffs or something, the Celtics again, they have a shot.
Celtics,
you know what I mean?
And also if the Sixers stay healthy,
that's such a question mark, though, bro. I can't even buy into that one.
Embiid,
Because on paper, even last year. Like, we didn't know PG would, but then PG came out on his pod, and you remember he was saying like he had issues all season. Like, he had an abductor tear, was it? Yeah, and ultimately that was the reason why that he, like, although he was healthy and playing, he wasn't playing to his best strengths because he was like overcompensating in different areas because he had this tear. You know what I mean? So he wasn't as potent as he could have been. Yeah. So I don't know. Just overall, that's it. And especially with the Joel Embiid, like, sitting out back to backs forever now. Oh, I just think, like, bro.
Nah, yeah, his career's over, man.
I don't know.
His career's over.
The only bright spot about the Sixers going forward is that third pick they got in this draft.
You also have
you got McCain, you got Tyrese, and you got that third pick who is probably going to be Ace Bailey. So you need to focus on that, because the process, hate to break it to you, Sixers fans, did not work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I think the Sixers just need to get back to the drawing board and restart the process.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
package and beat out.
And you have a good, like, a good mix of young guys now.
Amazing mix.
You have that. Mix. Just I mean, clear your cap space. You know what I mean? Get a haul for Joel. Get a haul, because somebody will overpay you for Joel. 100%. You know what I mean? But come on, like,
just in terms of Embiid's value, though, man, it's not the same as he may be able. The Sixers may be able to get maybe 2 first-round picks, and then maybe a couple of players to match the salary. Same with Paul George.
Man, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. People might be desperate. Take a shot in the dark.
Is it still Durrel Moose that's the GM over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna want a lot for him. Yeah. You might find a team desperate enough, but either way, recoup value for him, recoup value for PG.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You have to
start with those young players.
You have to, man.
I mean, Tyrese Maxey was the 6th highest leading scorer in the league, 27 points a game. This guy's dynamite.
That boy's nice.
And he comes through in the playoffs too.
Nice. He's been giving up to this.
Jared McCain was en route to be rookie of the year, but then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So Ace Bailey now, bro. Come on, that's a good 3 to build around.
However,
some young talent.
I believe Ace Bailey. So based on some of the reports that I read out there, he had a terrible draft. Draft
combine.
Yeah, draft combine.
Still.
So apparently he was listed. So they stated that he was 6'9", 6'10". Draft combine, he was 6'7". So obviously,
how does that even happen, bro?
Dude, I'm just wait, hold up. So this guy's a full 3 inches shorter than what was claimed. Cause
how do things like this happen? I wonder.
Which is crazy. Cause he was taking some real ill-advised shots in college. As a 6'10" guy taking those contested shots, okay, he has the length to at least get those shots over top of guys.
Yeah.
But that 6'7" guy taking those shots, and I was like, all right, cool. Those are terrible shots, and you're not getting enough elevation to get over top of those guys. And apparently, he did not have the highest vertical the vertical leap. So I believe his was 34 inches. So it was and he was amazing talent. However, one of the knock was his IQ, his shot selection. If he's able to clean that up, he'll be an amazing player. Amazing player, because he has all the physical tools just in terms of length. Obviously, 6'7" as a guard is still a pretty much decent size. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good 2-3 height. Even you could play a small ball forward with that. And the league is transitioning away from they're more positionless basketball anyway at this point, right? If you could shoot, if you could defend, bro.
Yeah,
that's that. That's the new NBA. That's the new NBA. So Cooper Fleck obviously is going to be that number 1 pick. Easily. We know that the Mavs lucked out. Do you think there's any chance that either Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey slip to 4, 5? Any chance? Any one of those 2 slip? Or you think they're for sure the
slip to 4 or 5? I don't believe so, man. Because just based on the talent alone, Cooper's number 1, Dylan Harper definitely number 2. I think Ace might be the one that slipped to 4 or 5, and then VJ might jump to 3, and then
VJ.
and then Ace an ace drop because I really like VJ's game, man. He reminds me a lot of Ant. Love his game. He extremely athletic. You know, even his jumper kind of resembles Ant's jumper a little bit. You know, so for me, the only player that I think may drop might be Ace Bailey, but Harper and Coop, that's pretty much it. Number one is just solidified, and I don't think much drop.
Yeah.
And then I think it's the Hornets that's number 4, right?
Hornets 4, Jazz 5, Wizards 6.
So Hornets might get either VJ or Ace, but they don't really need Ace though. You know, because they already have the likes of
like Brandon
Miller. You know, similar game style.
Yeah.
And I like right now in this present time, I like Miller's game way more than I do Ace Bailey's game. Miller's game is beautiful to watch, man. He kind of resembles it's crazy. Paul George. When you watch him,
like
his
an
game,
indie PG though.
It's crazy how his game is so similar to Paul George. He's what is he like 6'8", 6'9", can handle the rock and shoot that thing. Really good defender.
NBA GOAT.
You know what I'm saying?
It's his GOAT.
Yeah. He used to be my GOAT too. Funny enough, though, when I was playing ball back in the day, I try to emulate my Paul George jumper. I wanted my jumper to look like his jumper because
it's so smooth.
So smooth, man. But nah, man. But over the time, man, my guy's never on the court, man. He's always hurt. He's always hurt, you know. But I do understand how he is this new gen's GOAT, just in terms of size, handle, shot. You know, smooth, smooth, man.
Yeah, because PG's the type of guy that, you know, this newer generation would have looked up to, like especially the early days, indie days, because he really came into the league with a bang. Before you know it, you know, he was facing Braun and all that in the playoffs.
He was giving Braun the work. He was giving
Braun problems. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you can see why his kind of early career legacy, if you will, or early career successes would bring a lot of these younger guys to like a guy like PG. And, you know, we obviously knew about him and knew how great he was. But the younger guys, like when that's some of the first high level basketball that you're seeing, and a guy so dominant like PG, it's amazing. And shout out to PG. Like I think he's still a very capable player. I just think now with all the injuries and with all of the, I don't know. Do you think his headspace is really where it should be? There's like sometimes I see some things like on and off the court and like do you think the podcast has anything to do with it?
To be honest, I'm not the one to say whatever, you know, affects someone's psyche or if it does or it doesn't. But because everyone has their own outlet, just in terms of how they cope with things. Maybe the podcast is a way for him to actually, you know, be free and just express himself. To put in perspective, a lot of people have issues expressing themselves, right? So the fact that he has a podcast where he can truly be transparent and open, maybe that's exactly what he needs instead of just keeping everything bottled in.
For sure.
You know, so for me, it's maybe for you, it could be a detriment. However, maybe for him, that's what he needs to actually be free.
For sure.
Right. So, because like if you go to therapy, the one thing that they always express is like be free and express yourself. Yeah. He's being free and express himself, and now we're telling him not to express himself. Yeah. So then what? But I think time and place. Stay focused, and then there's certain things that I would say don't share with the masses and with the public, especially. I believe there was an internal team dispute that they had in the locker room there that he came out and shared in the podcast, and that made it public. Obviously, that's going to cause turmoil within the locker room. So, like stuff like that, I say don't share. But dude, have your podcast, man. How many players in the league currently have a podcast? Bro, Jalen Brunson has a podcast, and he's in the NBA conference finals right now. No one's talking smack about it. Yeah, it's only a problem if you're not performing. But when you're performing, you can do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. I know,
it's so true. It's so true. Nobody had anything to say about Michael Jordan's issues when he was performing and balling the way he did, even though he had problems where if he was losing, people would have blamed 100%. That. They would have pointed at it and blamed it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an outlet. And like you said, it's a way that he can express himself. And the thing is what do we expect for players to do, right? Do we expect them to be in the gym all the time? Because you see guys like, you know, comments and all these type of things and on all these platforms that are like, oh, you know, get back in the gym, like you're underperforming. It's like, man, like guys got to come home and rest too.
Bro, my guy has a life outside the ball, you know?
Yeah, come on. He has a whole life. So it's crazy. So maybe a better question for you then. Do you think that, like you said, oversharing, maybe oversharing at certain instances in Podcast P. Do you think that's led to any like rifts in relationships with him and some of his other teammates on his team?
Definitely. I definitely believe that some of the oversharing definitely caused some turmoil between him and some of the players, for sure. Because obviously, if you're sharing, internal discussions to the public, something that was never meant to be public,
right
now, especially if something that I said to you in confident, and then now you're sharing that, bro, I'm going to be cheesed at you. So then now our chemistry in the court is obviously going to show. It's going to show that I'll be making some ill-advised plays just because I'm not passing the ball, I'm looking you off, or vice versa. You're looking me off. So now the team is actually feeling it. So it's all a domino effect. So it does. You can have the podcast, however, just be mindful of the things that you say about your teammates.
For sure.
So keep it professional. You're still within your profession. So just keep it professional in that matter.
Yeah.
Maybe after the season, or even after your career, then you can start sharing some of those stories.
Right.
But the fact that you're sharing these stories while the season's still going on is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I would listen to his pods and I would hear him share certain things, I always wonder like, where is the line that they draw? And I guess right now, because this player podcast era, this current player podcast era is still such like a new thing.
Yeah.
I guess they're really trying to feel it out, and we're all trying to like understand, okay, what is the line that is drawn in the sand where like things that you say, things that you don't say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Off-season discussions are different. You could talk about your previous season, doesn't matter. Or the retired players, when they talk about it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But these things that are happening at that moment, like if you're struggling in a season and you're going over, like, obviously it's a hot issue, you want to discuss it.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. You don't overshare and you don't talk about specific instances that happened amongst players, amongst staff of your team, because it could, in my opinion as well, cause these rifts, because it could just take a small thing. You say something small about a guy, hey, you know what, he didn't come out and play his best. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, Podcast P, one of the biggest NBA podcasts on the planet, and he came and he was on his platform and he kind of shaded me a little bit. You know what I mean? You'd feel a type of way about that, like in some instances. So it's difficult. You know what I mean? But I also think too, we're in an age where these players, they do not want the media to write their narrative. So for them, of course. So for them, they want to dictate every aspect of their narrative and every aspect of their story. Yeah. Right. So even with LeBron James going on the Phil McAfee show, stating his piece about the Stephen A. Smith incident. Yeah. So it's obviously back in the day, it was like the media stated one thing, and that was it. The players had no way to right the wrong or even give their side of the story. So now the players are taking power into their own hand and telling their side of the story. Right. So this is what really freaking happened. So that y'all can stop speculating as to what happened. It's because obviously it's all about the storylines and the narrative, and that's what sells. Yeah. The NBA, it's all about the narrative that sells. About back in the day, how this player hates that player hates that player. So like, they're building that narrative. However, but that could have been not the narrative. That could have been just what the media wanted us to see, so that they could sell tickets, right? So I think we're just in a day and age now of player empowerment, which is why I believe these players all have their own podcast, just to get on the podium and just state their piece. Yeah. Like put a positive spin on whatever they're dealing 100%. With, or shed their own light, on the situation. Exactly. And instead of having the media kind of narrate what's going on or what they're going through. Yeah, I like that. Let's jump into some NBA or all NBA selections and all rookie selections. So first team, all rookie. Stephon Castle, rookie of the year, much deserving. Zachary Rizache. Yeah. Our French boy, Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, Alex Sarr. How do you feel about that all rookie first team? I like it. I'm a Mataz Bazilis guy. I would have just put him right in there over Jalen Wells. That's what. Yeah. Jalen Wells was the only one here where I was kind of like, yeah. I would. To be honest, dude, I believe out of all of these rookies that Bazilis will have at the end of the career, he might have the best career out of all of these guys.
I really like this game. Even the draft, I was hoping that he kind of fell to the 14th, I believe. That's where we drafted.
That's where the Raptors
drafted Jacoby Walters.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping he fell, but the Bulls scooped him. Nah, he's 6'10", can handle the rock. He's a really good shooter.
Yeah.
He brought, I believe, a couple of seasons ago during the All-Star weekend, while he was playing for the G-Light Ignite team.
Mm-hmm.
He hit the game-winning shot against, I believe it was like the Wemby's team in the All-Star rookie
mm-hmm.
versus, what was it, the rookie versus, I think, the Ignite, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually hit the game-winning shot over those guys. So he was already a star before he got into the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I like his game.
Yeah.
I want the Raptors to draft him.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also, like, even though in our fantasy league, right, I drafted him. I picked him up early in the season. Yeah. But then obviously he kind of started a little slow. But then later on in the season, that's when he turned it up. But definitely, dude, I would have him up there, first team over Jalen Wells. However, Jalen Wells had an amazing season. Mm-hmm. However, he was playing on a good team. He was playing on that Grizzlies squad, who, come on, we all know that Grizzlies team is always a consistently good team. If you're a rookie and you play on a good squad, your plus minus numbers will look better than other players.
Absolutely.
Even Zach Edey, man, also played on a really good squad. I believe.
Wow, 2 Grizzlies here.
Yeah, I believe Donovan Clingan had a better season than Zach Edey. However, Zach Edey was on a better squad.
Mm-hmm. I think the Donovan Clingan thing. We'll talk. Let's talk about the second team since we kind of went into it already. So we got Matas Buzelis, Bub Carrington, Donovan Clingan, Khalil Ware, and Yves Missi. So yeah, Donovan Clingan. It's difficult for him in Portland because he had so many bigs kind of in front of him in the pecking order. You have DeAndre Ayton and you have Robert Williams. You know what I mean? These are already established guys. So it was tough for him to crack the rotation. But because those two had injury concerns, especially towards the end of the season, he started to come on. He really started to play well.
Dude,
this guy can block the ball with the best of them. Great interior presence.
Big cat, man.
Yeah, and then towards the end of the season, he started to stretch his game out. He was hitting a couple from beyond the arc. So if he can introduce that more into his game, sky's the limit for him. I really love this All-NBA second-team selection for him. That's got to be such a confidence booster to see that and to, use that to kind of realize, oh, okay, I'm doing something here, let me keep up my momentum and get great. Just to finish off thoughts about the first team, I agree with what you're saying. I would have subbed, literally my exact sentiments, would have subbed Buzelis in for Jalen Wells. Khalil Ware, great player.
We got Wemby at home, boys.
Great young young talent. Really started to pop off, especially towards the end of the season. Love what he was bringing to that Heat squad.
Amazing pickup from the Heat, man.
Yeah, crazy.
Amazing pickup.
I love that. Bub Carrington. Bub Carrington is a nice little player for the Wizards. Yep. I just wish he was on another team. I just hope he could develop the way that he's supposed to. He's an offensive threat.
The Wizards, they got the fifth pick, right?
Yeah. He's a dynamic offensive, talented, very talented player. Yves Missi's good. I like him there. I'm not mad at it. I feel like you could probably put someone else in there. I guess because if you look at it, actually, I guess they were kind of going positionless with it. They weren't really taking like a 1 through 5. You know what I mean? Because if we were to look at it like that, the second team doesn't make much sense. But as we were discussing before the pod, like a guy like Jamal Shed, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Who led the league for rookies in assists. Is a real leader, a bulldog out there. Gives me shades of Fred VanVleet. And I don't mean by the play style, but by the toughness.
The grind.
Yeah, the grit that he brings onto the court. So I think he should have been kind of in that second team mix. He probably was right there.
Yeah, but, definitely. Even though with the likes of, like, shout out to Jonathan Mobo from the Raptors. Dude, he recorded the only triple-double in the season for rookies, and he was a second-round pick. I believe the Raptors had some of the best rookies
for sure
this season.
Yeah, they got an underrated like core of young guys
100%.
too. Yeah,
Throw
Grady Dick in that mix, Jacoby Walter.
Grady, can't say your last name, brother. Man, that's amazing. Raptors have a really young mix there of rookies and also second-year players as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's a pretty good list. I can't fault the players that are on this list.
Yeah.
But I can't really say none of these players don't belong on this list. But it's a pretty good list for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
All defense. Got first team Evan Mobley, Draymond Green, Dyson Daniels, Lou Dort, Amen Thompson. Second team Tumani Kamara, Rudy Gobert, Triple J, Jalen Williams, Ivica Zubac.
Zubaka.
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name. There's been so many like speculations around how to say his name. But anyways, how do you feel about that all defensive first and second team?
First team, Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond Green, what was it, like Defensive Player of the Year for, what season was that, 2017, 2018?
One of those years. Escaping me right now.
Yeah, Dyson Daniels led the league in steals.
The great barrier thief.
You know what I'm saying? Lou Dort. Dude, my guy is a stout defender. Amen Thompson. That boy. Initially, he briefly had the nickname the Steph Curry stopper. Briefly. And then Steph's like, let me show you what's up, boy. No, Amen Thompson, that boy is a physical specimen. You know, so I ain't mad at that list. Second team, Tumani Kamara, Rudy Gobert, Jaren Jackson, Jalen Williams, Ivica Zubac, whatever his name is. Pretty solid list, man.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams. I'm really surprised that he made a second team all defense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
But he was. I mean, he's been a fantastic defender all year. Really has. The one guy I want to shed light to is Amen Thompson. I mean, what a jump!
Wow.
Like, if you look at last year compared to this year, we thought Asar was going to be the better brother. You know what I mean? We really did. And not to say that he's fully out of the, mano y mano type of conversation, but now it looks like Amen really, especially in the playoffs, and to end the year, Amen was like, no, I'm here. I have arrived today.
Yeah.
He's serious, and he's been playing great.
Yeah.
Another guy, Tumani Kamara, just wow, like what a breakout year for him. Fantastic player, great defender. Crazy wingspan, always in the passing lanes, deflections. He can get up there. He can block the ball. I think he averaged like over 2 steals a game, if I'm not mistaken. Dyson Daniels, man. Dyson Daniels was, oh my God. Can you imagine how the Pelicans feel? Yes. Can you imagine how the Pelicans feel, especially since their whole Zion era with CJ and Trey Murphy and whomever else is in that mix, Jose Alvarado and all them guys over there. It doesn't seem like it works. Sense, and they can't stay healthy. And then you have a guy, Dyson Daniels, sizzling on the back end.
Who was runner-up defensive player of the year, man?
Bro, who you didn't even give minutes to, and he goes on the Hawks, and now he's essentially an untouchable piece for the Hawks because there's no world in which to get rid of him.
Yeah, he was a lottery pick for the Pelicans too, man.
Yeah.
But that's just
How
crazy.
do you not know what you have though? And you had him for what? Because he was in the league for 2 years. This was his third year, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, you have him for that long, bro, and it's like you don't know what you have. I don't know, bro.
I don't think they did not know what they had. I just believe they just wanted to win now. So that's why they wanted to get a for sure guy in. The guards that they just got. What's it? The guy they do just towards Achilles.
Oh, DeJounte.
So they wanted to trade for DeJounte. Hopefully that he was gonna be the change that they need to elevate this Pelicans team to that next level. But no, towards Achilles. Zion was never healthy. Ingram got traded to the Raptors. So
Ingram was never healthy either.
Yeah, so everything just fell apart for that Pelicans for that Pelicans squad, man. It's a very unfortunate because when you really put in perspective that DeJounte Murray for Dyson Daniels and I believe for a couple of first round picks, on paper it didn't seem so bad, but now it's like, all right, DeJounte may never be the same player that he ever will be. Yeah, that he was. And Dyson is just ascended. Yeah, and
Dyson is like 21 years old.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy, like just how the change. And again, like maybe Dyson wasn't capable of doing this on the Pelicans. Maybe a change of scenery was what he needed. He needed a new environment. Maybe he needed PG at the point to kind of, you know what I mean? Because we know CJ is more of a More of a
Score first,
scorer.
yeah.
Like he's more of a 2 if you ask me.
yeah.
He's not really a traditional 1.
No.
You know, and that's obviously why they did the DeJounte trade because he's the 1. CJ's more the 2. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, but anyways, like he's just watching him play. It's just like some guys just have that knack for knowing where to be at the right time. Like one play that always kind of like comes into my mind where I really knew I was watching such a phenomenal defender was in the playoff run between in the Raptors playoff run 2019 when they won. Kawhi like kind of it almost seemed like he wasn't even in the play and he just like kind of turned and fell. And remember when he grabbed the ball and he stole it?
He wasn't even looking at the ball.
It's kind of like those type of moments you really know. And Dyson Daniels this season had a few moments like that where he would just get the ball out of nowhere.
Just feel.
He would just know where to go. Yeah, just the feel of the game and just, that's mine and take it. And just amazing. Like stat line, like 4 steals a game. Not 4 steals a game. 4 steals, 5 steals, like every odd night. And you're like, what? Like 4 steals, 5 steals? Crazy. Just great defender.
One thing about being a great defender, for me, I think when I hoop, I'm a defender first, then everything, and then everything else is making and baiting the offensive player do what you want them to do, not them having you dance. Like you have to bait the offensive player to like you make a pass. So for example, Caruso, amazing defender as well. So I believe it was in Game 7. One of the one shift that OKC made was having Caruso guard freaking Jokic, and I believe there was a play where Jokic, it was like an inbound pass, and then Caruso was guarding his man, and then he kind of shifted over to Jokic for a split second. Because he knew that Jokic is going to see him shifting over to double. And Jokic did a tap pass to, I believe it was Aaron Gordon. But then right before Jokic did the tap pass, Caruso shifted back over to Gordon and got the steal.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful play. Such a beautiful sequence. So I think being a really good defender is understanding the game. Like you have to have extremely high IQ. When you think about the greatest defensive players of the year, dude, they all have really good IQ and a really good feel for the game. And then Dyson Daniels, 100%. Likewise, man. To your point as well, that feel, that's just more than a feel. That's just brilliance.
Yeah, it really is.
Straight brilliance, you know.
At such a young age too, like, to be that gifted. Like I said, the Pelicans are like, shout out to DeJounte. DeJounte's a great player in his own right. Yeah. You know, he does his thing, but man, now when you see that you had that guy, and it looks and like. Even if you do a soft rebuild, if you're the Pelicans, and maybe you want to keep Zion because I know that they love him so much, and he's going to be the next big thing. You know what? You could have with Dyson. Yeah. You could have had him there because like the age gap between Dyson and Zion is not that far.
Like Zion, he could have been 24.
Yeah, like maybe 24, 25. Still, you know what I mean? Dyson is like what 21. Yeah. So it's just difficult for the Pelicans. But anyway, I digress. Shout out to Evan Mobley, obviously Defensive Player of the Year, amazing. Lou Dort, come on, man, stand up Canada. He's doing his thing. Shout out to him. Rudy Gobert, staple. Jalen Williams, great defender. Zubats just gets better every single year. Even approaching 30 now. Again, still very much in his prime, but he just gets better every single year. And I just love the relationship that him and Harden had developed.
That's not really fed him well, bro.
Yeah. That's not really a defensive point I'm trying to make, but just to see his development, he's developing on every side of the ball. You know what I mean? On all sides of the ball, offense, defense, everything. So shout out to him. I wanted to jump into the All NBA selections as well. So let's talk about the first, second, and third team. So we got first team, SGA and Jokic. Everyone knew that for sure. Then you got Giannis, Jason Tatum, and then Donovan Mitchell, which I know some people were a little bit surprised about, but Donovan Mitchell had a fantastic year. Second team, you got Brunson, Curry, Edwards, LeBron James, and Evan Mobley. I know you're not the biggest LeBron guy. I know you got some things to say about that already. Third team, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Williams. So shout out to Jalen Williams for making an All-NBA and an All-Defensive team. Yeah, man, talk to me about that. How you feel?
The first team, I have no issues with it. Shai, come on, MVP. Nikola Jokic, the best player in the league. Giannis, third in MVP voting. Jason Tatum led that Celtics team there to the second best record. And then Donovan Mitchell, his team had the best record in the league. Amazing offensive talent. I have no issues with there. My laptop just died. No, that's a really good team, and I believe the second team there was Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson, Curry, Edwards, Braun, and Mobley.
To be honest, Braun, I would have him slotted in a third team and then shift Cade to a second.
Cade played great this year.
Cade played amazing. LeBron, obviously, age 40, doing whatever he's doing right now. Amazing player. Dude, LeBron is only a second team just because of the name, because of who he is. Any other player, he would have been
yeah, it's true. That is true.
Third team, man.
And because he plays for the Lakers too.
And because he plays for the Lakers, I believe Cade had a better season than LeBron for sure. But however, LeBron, based on the name, based on the longevity, based on everything that there is about him, that's why he's second team. Yeah. Second team, Evan Mobley. Yeah, no, I don't think second team, man. Evan Mobley, bro. Look what happened in the playoffs, man. He didn't look like second team worthy in the playoffs this season. When if you're a second team, dude, you must be putting Siakam type numbers.
You're essentially like a top 10 talent in the league. 100%. Is what it's suggesting.
100%. I think Siakam should have been here instead of Evan Mobley. Yes.
I don't know about either of them, to be honest.
Siakam was Sabonis. Siakam was Sabonis.
I like the Sabonis one more, and I think Siakam had a great year, but Sabonis, he led the league in rebounding again. I think this is his third time doing so. He can pass the ball with the best of them. And he's constantly slept on because of that market he plays in with the Sacramento 100%. Kings. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that one. I like Sabonis though. Definitely Braun, like you said, because of where he plays, because of I don't know if they factored in the age too, and they're like, oh, he's doing this at such a crazy age.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of variables there, but shout out to that. Jalen Brunson has been a revelation for that Knicks team. You remember when Jalen Brunson first got signed? It was an overpay.
Yeah. My guy's like one of the most crucially underpaid players right now.
Seriously, dude. And he took a pay cut. Oh my goodness, Jalen Brunson is amazing.
Yeah.
And then remind me who's on the third team there.
So Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Anthony Towns, and Jalen Williams.
I like that one.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. But however, I would definitely put LeBron in third team and Cade in second team.
Any issue with Trae Young being snubbed there? Sengun guys were snubbed.
No, Trae Young, amazing player. However, the Hawks were a playing team. Triple J, who did he hit? Karl Anthony Towns had a better season. Jalen Williams had a better season.
Jalen Williams had a great season.
Amazing season. And J-Dub had an amazing season. Who else? Siakam. I definitely think Siakam got snubbed. Sabonis, like you said, got snubbed. Banchero. He didn't get hurt, he did not get snubbed. However, his health was a reason why he didn't make an all NBA team selection. Yeah. One of my favorite players. There's so many players who should have been an all NBA.
Seriously,
however,
like
based
this
on
is
health and based on this new
talent,
quote unquote 65 game minimum.
Yeah. But the talent in this league too is just like it's absurd.
Ridiculous. Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
Based on the team's record, obviously.
Yeah, the team's record killed them there. Because you can see like there's obviously a pattern. Like when you look at first, second, and third teams, like every single player like came from a winning team. And I think this is a point you mentioned before. It was like they're like at least a top 1 to 5 seed.
Yeah, 1 to 5.
You're not gonna make it. Like
exactly.
You know what I mean? If you're on like a Raptors team who's like kind of in the not the basement, but sort of in that lower tier of the NBA.
In the wet basement.
They're not gonna take him there. Yeah, brother. I think that'll do it for episode 7. You got any any closing remarks or anything?
Closing remarks. It's been an amazing playoffs this season. I am 100% entertained. The shock factor is at its highest it's ever been because it's still so wide open. Who would have thought that the Wolves are gonna come back and just dismantle the Thunder like they did in Game 3
in OKC fashion.
OKC. And who the hell would have thought that the Pacers would be up 2-0 against the goddamn Knicks?
Yeah,
I think it's karma 2 against the Knicks. I saw a video a couple weeks ago, a couple of days ago, after Game 1, where the Knicks fans were, just being extremely just rude and throwing stuff at
the Pacers
fan that was rocking a Halliburton jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man, that is so disrespectful, man. That is so New York.
Yeah,
I'm like, that is karma. That's why y'all get being down 0-2. But
yo, could be, bro.
100%, man. I hope y'all get sweep too, just because of that bull jive. But no, I'm extremely impressed. Extremely impressed.
Yeah,
really good coaching. Rick Carlisle, amazing coach. His offense is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That Pacers offense is extremely beautiful. Even back in the Pacers and Cavs series, on paper, that's a boring series. But when you watch that series, it was beautiful, man. Beautiful basketball was being played.
For sure.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
I'm entertained. 100% entertained.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been great. It's been such a joy to watch. I mean, it's been very physical, A lot of the time we don't get to see these type of playoffs where there's like beefs between teams and really like the matchups just kind of all lined up in a way where it's like it was really entertaining and it was really fun to see the level of physicality that maybe the officiating kind of allowed a little bit more this year. Maybe that was an emphasis because we've all, fans of the NBA, we've all been pandering for, we want a more physical style of basketball. We want guys to go at each other's heads. You know what I mean? We want like scuffles to happen on the court and like,
100%.
A little bit of drama and stuff because it makes it entertaining for us as fans. So I don't know if that was the reason why, but it's been super entertaining. Definitely one of the best playoffs that I've seen in a number of years, especially much better than last year. And if we can get that perfect ending to the season with like a Wolves and a Knicks
clash.
A clash in the finals, just having recently traded and issues between the team and the DiVincenzo and Cat and Brunson and all these guys, that would be perfect. You know what I mean? But
it'll be
I don't know if it looks that way right now because they're both down.
They're both down. However, the Wolves kind of, took a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
However, the Wolves have a better chance at coming back from 0-2 as opposed to the Knicks.
They do.
Because the Knicks are 0-2 going to the road. So the Wolves are down 0-2 going home. So they at least have home court advantage. The Knicks lost home court advantage. They're going back.
They're 2-1 now. They won at home one game. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So I feel for the Knicks, man. So it's going to be a very interesting game tonight, man. So my prediction, Pacers win 100-97.
100-97.
100-97. It's going to be a 3-point game.
Anything Pacers win?
Pacers win by 3.
I don't know. The Knicks have been resilient all season.
They have, but
Cat is due for a bounce back game.
Unless he doesn't get benched.
Josh Hart is due for a bounce back game. I want to lean Knicks, but I wouldn't be surprised if what would that be now? 4? That the Pacers win that one. But I see the Knicks coming. I just don't see a 3-zip. I just don't see a 3-zip. No. 2-1.
No one saw Pacers being up 1-zip.
Yeah.
No one saw Pacers being up 2-zip.
You're right. Dude, I could be wrong.
Dude, so we tweeted just a couple of days ago that there's quote unquote tweet. There's something special about this Pacers team. This was before Game 1.
Yeah.
And they won Game 1.
Super excited.
So
super excited.
I'm with the Pacers here, man. I'm with the Pacers.
I'm hoping the rest of the playoffs goes like how the first chunk of the playoffs has went, where it's just been super entertaining, super physical. The matchups have been great.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing all around. So we really appreciate you guys for listening, sticking through the whole thing. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Durrel.
It's been a pleasure. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Like, comment, subscribe, and much love.
Much love. We out of here.
Peace.